worries. So good morning, all of you. Let us come to the in this class. We'll discuss how this Newton's law will work. Is it only in one body, or is it will work in two bodies? That is all. So as we know that in last class we have discussed what is Newton's law of motion. So what is Newton's law? Can you able to say please? Anybody? Last class we have studied what is Newton's law. Please, Pradosh Elmukil. What is Newton's law?
Sir, it describes the relationship between the forces that come into play when two bodies interact.
Two bodies are interact each other. So that is what we can say. If one body is exerting some force on second body, then second body is also will exert same amount of force on first body in opposite direction. So that is what we used to call as Newton's third law of motion. Is it yes or no? So if there is then every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Is it yes or no? So that is what we used to call as every action there is a reaction. Understand? There is a reaction. Minus we should indicate. So what is the meaning of minus?
Opposite.
Understand? Opposite direction. So if there is action, then definitely there is a reaction against to that. So that is what we used to call as Newton's third law of motion. Is it yes or no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
So as we know, this Newton's third law of motion will take place only when the two bodies come. When it will come into
interact.
So when the two bodies come into contact or interact each other. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that is what you should remember. So now in today's class we'll study action and reaction act on either two different bodies or only one body. Understand? So as we already know that action and reaction will exert in where? Two different bodies or one body?
Two different bodies.
Is it yes or no? Is it possible to act both action and reaction in the same body?
No, sir.
No. So that is what our concept today. Understand? You can keep adding. Action and reaction act on two different bodies. Action and reaction. Action and reaction acts on two different bodies. That is. Shall we start now? So,
yes, sir.
For example, so as we know that in the beginning of the chapter, when we will place the heavy box, Pradosh make a call to Monish. Monish is there. Elmukil, Darun and Tamil Selvan is also there. Lakshay left out. Okay, let it be, no issues. So now, let us take, as we know that, if we'll keep some box on the ground. So let us, four things are happening. Can you able to say what is that? Four forces are acting on it. So if we'll place the box, suppose for example, basically, this is the ground, let us imagine. I have placed some kind of a box on it. So as we know, where is the action and where is the reaction will take place. So this is what the box which I have been kept here. So this is my box. So now you please tell me, where is the action and where is the reaction? So this is what the box I can see, which I placed on the ground. So please let me know where is the action and where is the reaction.
Sir, gravity action, the force exerted by the box is reaction.
So can you able to say, where is the action, Pradosh? Suppose I am standing on the ground, which is action and which is reaction? If I am standing on the ground, which is action and which is reaction? Suppose if I am trying to stand on the ground, then whatever the force which I am exerting and on the ground, that is what we should call it as what?
Action.
So if I'm acting the force in this direction, then ground also will exert force in the which direction?
Opposite direction.
Opposite direction. That is what we should call?
Reaction.
Reaction. That is what we should call? Reaction.
Reaction.
Understanding, Monish, Darun, Tamil Selvan? So when I'm trying to exert the force in the ground in this direction, downward direction, then the ground will exert the same amount of force in opposite direction. That is what we should call it as what? Reaction. So this is called as action and that is called as reaction. So action is taking place by what? Weight of the body. Is it yes or no? So if I'm having more weight, more force I will exert on the ground. If I'm having less weight, less force I will exert on the ground. So that is why I can say this action is known as what? What we should call? Weight. So depend upon my weight only ground will exert the force. Is it yes or no? So if my weight is If my weight is 500 newtons, then the ground also will exert the same amount of force on me in opposite direction. That is also which is equals to what? 500 newtons. Understand, Ra?
Yes, sir.
Understanding. So this is what we can say. So action and reaction act on two different bodies. It will never act on single body. So that is what the example you can take. This box which is resting on the ground. So the box is exerting downward force of its weight on the ground. So that is why. Understand? So the downward force of the box is balanced by an equal and upward force which is supplied by whom? Which is supplied by whom?
Ground.
Ground. That is what you should understanding. So the force exerted by the weight of the box is only which to called as what? The force exerted by the weight of the box is called as? The force exerted by the weight of the box is known as what?
Action.
Action. That is what I am asking. So Newton's law will say always action and reaction. So Laksha, please call to Manya and Samya. And Darun and one more fellow is missing. That is what also you should please call. So if you'll observe carefully here, action, the weight of the box which is acting on the ground is only which to called as action. So opposite to that, who will be there? Opposite
Reaction.
to that, reaction will be there. So the force which is exerting the weight of the box, which we used to call action on its ground, and whereas the force exerted by the ground on the box is only called as reaction on, understanding, reaction which is acts on its acts on the box. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
As we know that since the box is in equilibrium under the action of two forces, it will never, understand, it is neither go up nor go down. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Moving, suppose I will place the box in my home. Is it moving upwards and downwards? No. Is it yes or no? So always it will
Yes,
be
sir.
in the same position, which we used to call as equilibrium position. What we should call? Equilibrium position means it is almost constant position, will never move. Understand? Neither will go up nor will go down. Neither will go up nor will go down. Why?
Go down.
Why? Because
All forces are equal.
two forces are acting, action and reaction, but both are acting in opposite direction. So both the forces are balanced each other. That is why it neither goes up nor go down. The action of the box must be equal and opposite to the reaction of the ground. Is it yes or no?
Yes,
Reaction
sir.
of the ground. That is why action of the box acting on the ground and the reaction of the ground acting in the box both are equal, but both are opposite direction. Is it yes or no? So that is why I can say from this example, is it the both is acting in a single body or two bodies?
Two bodies.
Single body or two bodies? Two bodies here. What is that? What is the two bodies here? Anybody?
Ground and box.
Yes, Tamil Selvan, you communicate. What is the two bodies here involving? I am saying that two bodies are involving. One is what here? One is ground.
Ground and box.
Another one is box. Understand? So that is what you should remember. So why the box is equilibrium here? Because the action of the box must be equal and opposite to the reaction of ground. Do you understanding that? That is what you should.
Yes, sir.
So it neither goes up nor goes down because the action of the box equal to the opposite to the reaction of the ground. So that is what I can say here. Action of the box is equals to what? Action of the box on ground is equal to what? Must be equals to reaction on the box by what? By ground. Is it yes or no?
Sir.
Yes, that is what you should understand. So that is why I can say both are equal. So action is equal to what? Action
Minus reaction.
minus reaction. So from this I can say the force, action and reaction is always acting on two bodies. So here the two bodies are what? One body is called as ground. Understanding? One body is called as ground and another body is called as box. So this is the body one and body two. Is it understanding all of you? Any doubt? You can ask.
Sir.
So always this is what will take place in the understanding Newton's law. So, okay, let's analyze this. So, whenever it is happening, if the action is acting and the reaction is exerting anywhere, if you'll observe, then definitely how many bodies are involving, Ra? Two bodies are involved.
Bodies.
What you should remember. Understanding? So this is all about action and reaction act on two different bodies. Now, if you'll understand this one, now we will study some examples to illustrate Newton's law of motion. Do you understand, Igra? So all of you keep heading. Some examples, very, very important. Some examples in exam they used to ask you. Some examples to illustrate. To illustrate what, Ra? To illustrate Newton's
Third law.
third law. To illustrate Newton's third law of motion. So please keep waiting. Now we'll discuss one by one. Is it okay? Are you ready? Very, very important.
Yes, sir.
So everywhere I will explain you clearly, and you may feel even happily also after this session. You can see. So the first one is, how do we walk? So can you able to say how do we walk? How do we walk? How do we walk? So please let me know. How do we walk? Anybody? Suppose you
By
do not,
friction.
how do you walk? Is it Newton's law of motion or not? Will you accept it?
Yes, sir.
Why? Can you able to say how it is?
Sir, we will push our body, that is action, sir.
So we will try to push with our legs. We will try to push the ground in a backward direction. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Force we are exerting on the ground, which we used to call as what?
Action.
Action. Correct or not? So this action will take place. So that what will happen? Ground will exert the force on. Ground will exert the force on.
Our legs.
Huh? So what Ray? This is not nobody is responding. You have to speak. So now let us observe very carefully. In this picture, you can observe. Can you able to see this picture, all of you? Let me see. Can you able to see this picture? So what is happening? What is
Yes,
happening?
sir.
A man walking on the ground. Is it yes or no? Pradosh? Darun? So what is happening here? So as we know that when we are walking, always our one leg will go backward and one leg will go forward. Is it yes or no? So like this will
Yes,
walk.
sir.
Yes or no? Like this will walk. So whenever we are trying to understand, one leg is in forward, you can see our leg always will go like this. Always will go like this. Means in the sense of we are acting the force on where? We are acting the force on ground in the backward direction. Is it yes or no? So like this,
Yes, sir.
the ground with my foot in the backward direction. So that is why the ground will exert the force on forward direction. So that is why we can say that is called as reaction. So that is why I am able to walk on the ground. Is it yes or no? I am trying to push the ground with my foot. So the ground is also trying to push me opposite to that. So that is only I am trying to move forward. So how do we walk? How do we walk? So when we walk, when we are applying the force on this, like action, when we are trying to apply the force, when we are trying to push the ground with our legs, so that is what we should call it as what? Action. So when we are trying to apply the force on ground, ground also will exert the force on our body, our legs. So that is what we should call it as what? What we should call?
Reaction.
Reaction. So if you take any kind of body, understanding. So this is my first leg and my back leg. So I'm trying to push the ground in like this backward direction. That is what I can call as action. Then immediately the ground will exert the force in forward direction. So that is what I can call as
Reaction.
Reaction. That is what all of you should remember. Do you understand, Ra? So now this is the first example, understanding, which will illustrate the Newton's law of motion. So let us understand better this. So as we know that when we walk on the ground, understand. So what is happening? Our foot push the ground backward direction. Which direction?
Backward.
Understand? And to return that, what is happening? The ground push our foot forward direction. So the forward reaction exerted by the ground on our foot make us to walk on the ground. Is it yes or no? Is it yes
Sir.
or no, all of you? Will you able to accept it or not? So I am
Yes,
trying
sir.
to apply the push. I am trying to apply the force, understanding, on the ground in the backward direction. Backward direction. That is only I used to called as action. So for that, what is happening? It returns. If I'm giving something to the ground, ground is also given returns to me. So it will returns. Understanding? It will return the ground. Ground will returns the same push forward direction. It will try to push our foot forward direction. So because of that reaction exerted by the ground only will make our foot, understand, move forward or else walk. Understanding all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So like that you may observe, this is what in the case of walking. Suppose, how many of you know that when you're trying to walk on the ice, understanding, like a ground which is slippery or if they are all covered with ice, it is become very difficult to walk. Why? Can you able to say? Suppose let me take somebody is walking on the ice or else some slippery surface. What is happening? Can you able to say, please? Let me know why we are will feel difficulty. It will become difficulty to walk. Please.
Sir, it is smooth surface of friction also low.
What?
The friction is low.
Yeah. So you may observe here in this picture, all of you observe in this picture. So in this picture, you may observe this lady is trying to walk on the snow. Is it yes or no? Snow means it is the ice. Ice we can call it as. Is it yes or no? So in this ice, we will feel very difficult to walk. What is the reason behind? Because what Elmukil said is exactly correct. So when we are walking on the slippery surface, understand? When we are walking on the slippery surface or else in ice, what is happening? Because on the slippery ground or any kind of ice, the friction is much less. Friction is much less, and we cannot exert a backward action force on slippery ground or ice, which will produce a forward reaction force on us. Do you understanding, all of you? So that is the reason
sir.
behind it. So why we will feel difficulty to walk on ice or slippery ground? All of you must know that. Understanding? So it is difficulty to walk. It is difficulty to walk on slippery ground or ice. Why not? Because we cannot, understand, we cannot produce backward force. Understanding, backward force means in the sense of what? We cannot push the ground. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Push the ground. We cannot push the ground backward. So what will happen, Ra? If you are unable to push the ground backward, what will happen? We cannot exert a force on backward. Then what will happen? Which will produce a forward reaction on us. Also, it won't be happen. Do you understanding that? So there is no
Yes, sir.
forward force which is exerting by the ground because of friction is what? Friction is much less.
Less.
We cannot push the ground. So ground also cannot exert. Ground cannot exert forward force. This is all what is because of what it is happening, Vaira? Because of due to less friction. Do you understanding, all of you? Due to
Yes, sir.
is only the surfaces which are smooth, understanding, or else the surfaces which are polished, or else the surfaces like ice which is covered with ice, very difficult to walk because of due to less friction. So we cannot try to push the ground in a backward direction. So because of that, ground also cannot exert the forward force. Do you understanding, Ra? All of you?
Yes, sir.
So that is what the reason. So same way, let us discuss the swimmer. How many of you know swimming? You people already know, most of you know swimming, correct or no? Swimming.
Sir, I don't know swimming,
All
sir.
of you. So swimming also, it is there. So when we will move forward, can anybody say when we will move forward?
Sir, we push the water backward. We will move forward.
When we will push the water?
Backward.
Nobody. Is it anybody know Monish? Pradosh, you don't know? You really don't know, you people. What is that? What is swimming? You know or don't know? So let us discuss that. Understanding. So swimming, what is happening? Like what exactly Element said. So when I'm swimming, you may notice it. I am trying to push the ground. I'm sorry. I am trying to push the water in a backward direction. Understand? So observe very carefully here. So in this picture, you can see this lady is trying to swim. So what is happening here? Elamukil, Daron. So what is happening with her hands? With her hands, what she is doing? What
Push
is
the
doing?
water.
Trying to push off, understanding, push the water in a backward direction, means in the sense of this is called as what we should call, this is called as action.
Action.
Understand, this is called as action. See, she is trying to push off swimmer, understand, push off swimmer on water. She is trying to push the water in this backward direction. So that is what we should call as action. So when we are trying to push the water, means when we are trying to exert the pressure or force on water, so water also will exert the same and equal amount of force in what direction, correct or not? So push up
Yes, sir.
swimmer, which will be in forward, this is backward direction, understand, backward direction, so that water will exert the force on the swimmer in a forward direction. So that forward direction only, which we used to call as water, Monish,
Reaction.
reaction. Everybody should communicate. That is what communication is most important. So in this case also, what is happening? In this case also, what is happening? So understanding. So the swimmer push the water backward direction, means he is applying the force on water in a backward direction with water, with his
Hands.
hands, understanding. So the swimmer trying to push the water, he is trying to apply the force on water in the backward direction. So because of that, water is applying the force on, understand, equal and opposite reaction to the force which is pushes the swimmer forward direction. Because when he will try to with his hands and his feet, he's trying to move the forward direction in water, because he will apply the force on water in the backward, so that water will reacts in opposite direction. So that is how the swimmer will pushes the, understand, he will push the water and as well as he will move forward direction. So if you'll observe here everywhere in this all the cases, you please remember that though the action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, but they do not produce equal acceleration in the two bodies. Is it yes or no? Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Will you agree with that? So you may observe.
Yes, sir.
Understand, suppose you see here, this is the man, this is the lady, and this is the water. Suppose both, whatever the action I'm exerting on the water, same reaction will be exerting on me. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? But is it the acceleration is same produced by the water and produced by me? Is it both the acceleration is same? Is it acceleration is equal or not?
No, sir.
Equal or not? Why? Can you able to say? Because already I have taught you the reason behind it. Suppose I'm exerting the same force on two bodies. Suppose you see, I will exert suppose one body. This is one body. Understanding? And this is another body. Let me take I am now. Car is exerting some amount of force. Let me take this force is 500 newtons. Understanding? And I am also exerting the opposite reaction. That force is also equals to minus 500 newtons. Means this is called as what? Reaction, and this is called as action. Do you understand?
Action.
If they both will come contact each other, is it force exerting is same? If the car is exerting 500 newtons, I am also exerting the same 500 newtons on the car. But is it both the bodies will gain the same acceleration? That is what my question. Is it the car and the man will gain the same acceleration?
No, sir.
No. Why? What is the reason behind? Monish, Pradosh?
Sir, because of the mass.
Because of the mass. Very good. That is what you should remember. Even though the action and reaction both acting equal in magnitude, there's, understand, the amount of force and reaction and action is same, but they do not produce equal acceleration in two bodies which it is acting, understand, which they act, because two bodies on which action and reaction force acts usually have different masses. So if it is different masses, different force we can create, different acceleration will be produced. So the body which is having more mass, then what will happen, Ra? Less acceleration. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Less acceleration. So the body which already this I have taught you, the body which is having less mass, what we can do?
More acceleration.
More acceleration. acceleration with a constant force. Is it yes or no? Darun, Monish, what are you doing?
Sir.
That is. So that is what you should understand. So this is the most important point which you have to remember. Even though the action and reaction are equal in magnitude, but the acceleration produced by the body, understanding, in the two bodies on which they act is not same because of they have different masses. Do you understanding all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is what you should remember. So the acceleration produced will be more in the body having less mass or more mass. The body which is having less mass or more mass. There the acceleration produces much, man. Will be more.
Sir, less mass.
Produced will be more in the body having less mass, whereas the acceleration produced will be less in the body having more mass. Do you understanding all of you?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So, this is what the first example of illustrating Newton's law of motion. Can you able to understanding all of you? So now we have to note down the 2 points from this example. I have understand that acceleration is depends on what? Acceleration is depends on
Mass.
mass, because what is the relation between them? The acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. If mass is more, acceleration is less. If acceleration is less, mass is
Mass
more.
is more.
Or not, or else mass is less, acceleration is more. Do you understanding all of you? Yes?
Yes, sir.
All of you note down the 2 points. So you may understand the 3 examples, correct or not? The swimmer and the different walk in ice, everything. So please write it. How do we walk? What we can write? When we walk on the ground, just little bit explanation. Okay, Ra? When we walk on the ground, what is happening, Ra? When we walk on the ground, what is happening? When we walk on the ground, then our foot pushes the ground backward. When we walk on the ground, not down, please mute yourself. Then our foot pushes the ground backward, and in return, the ground pushes our foot forward. Do you understanding all of you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you see, if the acceleration produced by both the bodies is same, if I will move forward, then the ground also need to move forward. Is it yes or no? Is it earth is moving? With our push, is it earth is moving like a football? Is it earth is moving? I am asking. If I am trying to push with my leg, is it earth is moving? No.
No, sir.
Because even though I am exerting the some amount of force on the ground is also exerting the same amount of force on me. But there is no acceleration in ground. Why? No A in ground. Why?
Sir, because mass is much
Ground
more
mass
than
is too much. Mass is more, so that no acceleration, but we have less mass, so that we can observe the acceleration in our body. Is it yes or no?
yes, sir.
Having acceleration because of less mass. Do you understand?
Less mass.
So that is why I can say acceleration is not is a constant in the both the bodies where the action and reaction is acting. In the case of here also, you can see if you push the water is understanding. You can see they are in liquid state. So if you push it, they may go even far. They will go even much far distance. But it is not that same thing. We can move the long distance at the time, because here action and acceleration produced by the body is not same because of the what? Mass is different. That is what you should understand. So the 2 points you should note it down. So when we walk on the ground, our foot push the ground backward. So that is why in returns the ground will push us our foot forward. Like same thing. Like in the same way, swimming. Swimming also. You remember another example. What is this? The swimmer pushes the water. Like same way, swimmer pushes the water. Swimmer pushes the water. Like same way, swimmer pushes the. Which direction? Pushes the water. Which direction?
Backward direction.
Backward direction. Backward. That is only which to called as what? Backward.
Action.
Action. So the water pushes the swimmer forward. So the water pushes the swimmer what? Swimmer forward. That is only ways to call it as what?
Reaction.
Reaction. Others, are you understanding? Everybody, any doubt, you please ask me. No or yes? Yes?
Understood.
Yeah. Next. Why we are walking, it is difficult to walk on slippery ground or else ice, already I have taught you. Why it is so difficult to walk on slippery ground? Because they cannot they cannot exert the forward force due to what?
Less friction.
Less friction. That is what the thing you should remember. Because due to less friction, they cannot produce the forward force, because with our legs we cannot produce the backward force. That is the reason it is very difficult to walk on the ice or else slippery ground. So now here, please, all of you, please keep note. So what is that note? I already taught you. What is that note? What is that note? Just now I told you, correct, right? Though the action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, though the action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, the acceleration produced by two bodies where it acts is not equal because acceleration depends on what?
Mass.
Depends on mass. That is what we should remember. So as we know that if mass is more, what we should say? If mass is more, if greater the mass, then what will happen?
Lesser the acceleration.
Lesser will be the acceleration. Do you understanding, all of you? Any doubt, anybody? You tell me. So as we know that, understanding. So force is equals to ma. This is what we have studied Newton's second law. Correct or not? Yes. So from this,
Yes, sir.
I can say, understanding. So F is mass is inversely proportional to what? Mass is inversely proportional to
Acceleration.
mass is, I can say, mass is directly proportional to 1 by A, or else mass is inversely proportional to A. Whatever it is you want, you can speak. So that is what the relationship between. So if mass is more, acceleration is less. Or if mass is less, then what will happen? If mass is less,
Acceleration more.
acceleration is more. So that is what the two relations you should remember. Please note it down till here. Any doubt you can ask. So this is what the first example.
Sir, please scroll up, sir.
How do we walk? This is what we can say. Example. Do you understanding, all of you? Any doubt? Anybody? Please ask. Clear? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Note it down. Take your time and you note it down. No issues. I will wait. So let's start next one. Yes. Next. Why the gun recoils? Second one. Why the gun recoils? Why the gun recoils? Second example. Why the gun recoils? What is the meaning of recoils? Anybody? I think Monish already knows it because his father is army man. What is the meaning of recoils? recoils, recoils. You already know it. So as we know that in movies and all you may watch, when they're trying to fire forward direction, bullets will move forward direction. You may notice it. The gun will come and will hit their chest. Have you noticed it? The gun little bit jerk will come and will hit on our chest. Is it yes or no? So that is why army selection,
sir.
you may notice it. Chest resistance should be very strong. If not, you are not qualified for my army recruitment. Have you noticed it? So always
Yes, sir.
the sniper shooters are a long gun. You may notice it. They're trying to keep the back part and the chest. Is it yes or no? Because when we will fire the bullet, then gun also will acquire the same force. So which will come and will hit our chest very forcefully. So you must be able to resist that force. That is what we should call it as. The backward motion of gun is only known as recoil. What we should call?
Recoil.
Understand? So what is happening here? You just understanding. Recoil understanding of guns means sudden backward movement, or we can say that jerk of gun when a bullet is fired from it. That is what we should call it as recoil. So first you are understanding what is recoil, then later you can understand what is the Newton's third law of motion behind in this, means action and reaction behind in this recoil. So please all of you note it. What is recoil of gun? Recoil of gun, a sudden backward movement of gun. That is what you understanding, Ra? A sudden backward
Yes,
movement.
sir.
We can call it as a sudden backward movement. Backward movement, or we can call it as a jerk, like a just hitting within a fraction of second. Jerk when bullet is fired from the gun. Do you understand, Ra?
Yes, sir.
So this is what will happen. So then what about the normal guns? Normal guns also you see, you have to hold the gun, understanding, very tightly. If not, it will slip from your hand. Is it yes or no? Because of that much amount of force is acting on our hand. That is why it is not, shooting is not easy task. Because bullet will produce huge amount of momentum. So the same amount of momentum will be acting on our hand also. Momentum means what? Mass into velocity. Is it correct or not? Momentum
Yes,
means
sir.
what? Mass into velocity. Mass into velocity. Have you remembered? Momentum represented with which letter? Momentum represented with which letter? Forgot
P.
all the things. Momentum
P.
represent what? Forgot everybody. So the momentum we should represent with the P, which is equals to mass into velocity. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So moving bullet, the fired bullet will produce huge amount of momentum on the gun because it is trying to move forward direction, so that the same means the gun is trying to apply the large momentum on the bullet. So because of that, when the bullet is coming out from the gun, so bullet also will exert same amount of force on the gun. So that is why gun suddenly will come and will hit our chest. That is only ways to call it as sudden backward movement of gun, or else we can call it as recoil of gun, or else we can call it as jerk of gun. What we should call? Sudden